And today I am using the good old-fashioned Mister Twister 4-inch Twister tail grubs, and they are made right here in the USA still, surprisingly. But these are 4-inch Twister tail grubs. It's a great saltwater, really great saltwater, freshwater, saltwater. Any fish will go after a 4-inch Twister tail grub. So it seems to be the ticket today, and I've been working these so far. All right, that's a nice fluke. Get him up. This looks much bigger than the water. So this is basically what I'm using right now. It's just a Mister Twister grub tail, 1/4 ounce jig head. It's a 2 hook, a number 2 hook. And this is 4 inches long with a football style jig head. And you can pretty much still catch anything with these jigs. Anything. And that is another fluke. Now I'm just using the Mister Twister 4-inch. It looks a little bigger. 4-inch curly tail grub tails. Maybe it'll get up on its own. It's a little bigger fluke. These are not ropes. These are Mister Twisters. And I'll show you what I'm using. Don't flop. Don't flop. Just having fun today. Cloudy day. And a lot of times I like to keep my rod tip up. Basically, when you have your rod tip up and you give it a crank, that jig's going to come up off the bottom. You keep it low, the jig's going to swim down towards the bottom. And sometimes the take will be one or the other or both, but just 2 different actions you can give. But a lot of times I just kind of work it with a high rod tip. Now I am tying direct. That's just a clinch knot. Sometimes you can use a loop knot if you want to give your jig a little more action. But I think we're getting plenty of action with just a clinch knot. See if we can get him in. He was a bit out there. It's got to be a fluke. There are definitely bass around. Oh, is he a little bigger? I think he is. They're getting a little bigger. There. They're all about the same size. I'm just working these here Mister Twister curly tail grubs today. Right now, anything can change. And for fluke, let me get back there. Ow! There we go. Get him going. Don't flop. Don't flop. Hey. Alright. That's what they do. They're almost worse than blackfish. Hooks on my foot. Just get him on his way. See if that big wave will take him. Right there. Seeing some birds out here. I see the boats are working out there. There might be some blues, but I don't see any birds today. So I'm going to be fishing for fluke. And I'm going to be using some Mister Twister grub tails. And did work out. Fished a little last night. I had one nice fluke and fished for a few hours. And I had that one nice fish. Here it is. And The rest of the night, I think I had one hit, but you do get bigger fish at night. And in the day too. That's how it goes. This feels like certainly a big, wow. That's a nice fish. I'm hoping to get something much bigger than that. We'll see. Looking for big fish. Still here. Like I'm showing you, I'm using the football style jig head, and it's a little bit advantageous for these here fluke, and I'll show you why the football style jig head for these twister tails is. The idea of that head is, the jig head is, it actually stands upright in the water as such. That's why we're getting all those hook sets, because it comes up and that jig is oriented up, and they're just coming in and grabbing that hook. It's not a horizontal micro presentation. It's a vertical one. That jig is standing up in the water. Now, you can use any jig head you want, but that seems to be working, because I don't think it makes too much of a beans as long as you work that jig properly through the water, whatever style jig head you use. But that's what we're using today, and these are commonly used with plastic worms, and I would say bigger grubs. What is that? Oh, that's a, wow, that's a good one. That is a good fish. I'm gonna have to work them around down here. There's a good rock there. Lose him. Oh, there he goes. That was cool. Got to see him. He took the. Again, I'm fishing with Mister Twister Curly Tail Grubs. It's a size 2 hook. Another nice fish. Could be bigger ones. If it was a bigger one, I'd be upset. He unhooked himself, got a good look at him, and we'll get something else. Now, the basic retrieve, and I'm doing different things, but you want to get that grub down, and you're not going to feel a thunderous hit on the bottom. It's only a 1/4 ounce plus the soft plastic. But you're going to get a belly in your loop. When you see that belly, you know that grub is on the bottom. And anytime you just lift your rod tip or crank your reel, it's going to shift and move that grub. And with that lightweight, it's going to kind of play in the current. The same concept as bucktail jigs. A jig's a jig, and these are just twister tail jigs. You could do all the same with a bucktail. Wow! All right. Still here. I'm going to change my bait. I want to get a bigger one. I'm going to show you the bottom of him. He had all kinds of spots. I'm just throwing 4-inch Mister Twister Tail Grubs. I might change that. I think. And these are just a Mister Twister. I'm going to change my bait. You can just throw that pack right in your pocket or your bag, whatever you want to do. And the nice thing is you just have some jig heads and some twister tails, and you're good to go. Clinch knot. And you can orient the tail down or up, depending on what you want to, down or up, what you want to do. I like them, we're going to face it down. I like the action with this style head, but up is just as fine. You just kind of just go right down the middle and gauge where the end of your shank is. Slide her up, catch, and we are fishing. I'm just picking at the fluke here on the Mister Twister Tail 4-inch swimming grub. Wow, whoa, whoa, whoa. See a little bigger? Wow, you never can tell with these fluke. It's just how they are. Sometimes, like I said, it probably heard me a million times. You get like those small ones, and then next thing you know, they turn into be big, giant, fighting fluke. Then you get big ones that feel like small ones, and just the way that they run and play, you just never know when you got like a really nice fish. But I'm gonna get him going. Go ahead, between my feet, and there he goes. And that's what I'm using today. 4-inch Mister Twister Tail Grub with a 1/4 ounce jig head. I might change that in a little bit. That's doing the job. Now the rod and reel I use, this is a common blank. It's a Lama Glass. I have a couple of these 1000 series. This one's rated for 3/4 to 2.5 ounces. But I can work with more or less in a rating, so 1/4 ounce is fine. That's a Shimano Bantam Black Magnum cast and reel, and that I believe is about 40-pound braid. I like the 40-pound over the 20 or 30, just because it takes a beating a bit more and it lasts a little longer. And for my leader today, that's just a 30-pound monofilament leader, and we all know about what we're using for grub here. The bird's pushed in. I think this is a blue. I don't know if we're going to get him in. They're going to pull out as quick as they came in. Get a look at him. Darn big one. It's a nice blue. He probably tore up that twister tail. Or not. Pretty wild. We got bluefish and fluke on their twister tails. That ended as quick as it started, so I'm going to go rig up the twister tail again. And I got a bucktail ready if those fish come back. Maybe we'll get 1 or 2 more before we get out of here. So I'm just going to rig up again, looking for a fluke. But I think if we get those bucktail, if we get those bluefish again, I am going to, we get those bluefish come through again, I'm going to go to a bucktail. If not, a bucktail or jig, one of the two. Until then, we're going to be looking for a fluke. Check my leader. He hooked up good. Okay. And I do have a couple other sizes, but I had in mind today the this is 1/4, that's 3/8 of an ounce jig heads, football style. You can use any style jig head you want. That's a size 2 sickle hook. No matter if it's a regular or whatever. That's a size 2.0, 3/8 ounce jig head. A little faster current, I would use that. The whole idea is you want to play these just as you would a bucktail. Actually, you wrap some deer hair around there, you got yourself a nice little bucktail and Fluke. And I'm probably going to be getting out of here soon. A lot of small Fluke on the 4-inch Mister Twister tail swimming grub today. And pack of bluefish came in, pulled one of them out. And ooh, they're eating spearing, that's for sure. And just picking at the Fluke today. That's about the average size we're getting.